Hello and welcome. Today we are looking at the new North American natives. A lot of native mechanics were overhauled in the new update along with introduction of new tags and a ton of new provinces. You can see here compared to the previous patch, NA map looks more crowded and is more fleshed out with some impassable terrain even. The bulk of changes were done on the eastern seaboard mostly, where you can find your favorite Native American tribe to play. In this video, we will go over the new native mechanics. Some of these mechanics have been changed and some of them are new. We'll look at them all. Let's get right into it. Some of the native tribes start as migratory, such as Wichita here, where you can pick up your tribe along with all the development and buildings and just migrate to another province. While some of the tribes, such as the ones around the Great Lakes areas, are settled. They cannot migrate. Let's take a quick look at the new government reforms for these natives, as that gives us a better idea on migratory and settled tribes. Basically, any tribe that has this particular reform selected becomes settled. So if you start as a migratory tribe, you can take this reform and become settled. And the settled tribes in the game start with this reform active, so they already have 3 reforms. So yes, if you start as a settled tribe, you can complete all reforms faster, but you don't have the option to change where you want to settle down. Since we are talking about reforms, there's another huge and I think the best change to natives in this patch. As a native, now you can choose whether you want to reform off a colonizer or not. This government reform here will reform you from a colonizer and you will get the colonizer's government form. Then all the old mechanics will play out, where you instantly embrace all institutions the nation you are reforming from has embraced. That's similar to the old ways. But you also had to wait till AI makes their way to the new world and happens to land next to you. It was not a fun game mechanic and you were basically stuck waiting for a long time. In the new patch, now you can just go to the next tier reform and become a monarchy or a republic or a theocracy if you so please, all by yourself, which is amazing. You are not dependent on the AI to do anything and you can pace it much better. In my test run, I reformed around 1485 starting as a settled tribe. So in only 40 years, which is fairly early compared to the previous patches where you had to wait say 100 to 150 years sometimes. Also now you can become a horde, but only if you remain migratory throughout the reform tiers. So you have to start as one of the migratory tribes, and here I tested it with Wichita and I was able to become a NA horde around 1510. That's not bad, I think. I bet you can min-max that further and reform even quicker. The one downside to reforming all by yourself is that you have to then develop the institutions. That means spending a lot of monarch points and ducats while catching up in the tech. However, I think you should still be okay and on par with tech by the time colonizers arrive. You can speed up your reforms by increasing the reform progress, as they have a few new modifiers for natives now. One of them is in the reform tier itself, and there are also buildings that give some reform progress. So let's have a look at some of the new buildings natives get access to now. There are a number of new buildings available to natives now, and 2 of them give monthly reform progress modifiers. Some of these buildings you can only build 1 per nation, so they are nation unique. And these ones give big modifiers. Advisor cost minus 50%, force limit plus 10, Diplorep plus 1. That's not bad. There are a fair few buildings you can spend your ducats on. My advice is to build the reform progress buildings first. One thing to keep in mind is that you will lose all these buildings once you reform, as these buildings are only available to natives. So the ones with local modifiers are probably not worth building, except in your capital maybe, unless you want to play as natives for a long time. I would advise building the nation unique ones though. The reform progress modifier ones are nice, and the tribal development growth one is good as well. Plus you can build any other building you might need to complete a mission, as the new natives also get new mission trees. The local manpower modifier might be important if you are playing as a federation, and we'll get to that in a little bit. First, let's talk about the tribal development growth and the tribal land. There's a new kind of province designation in this patch. It's called tribal land, and it's only available to natives in North America. It's depicted by the border without the color filling in the province, And you can get a new tribal land province by migrating to it and then spending 100 admin points to make it your tribal land. The main difference between your province and your tribal land is that other migratory tribes can migrate to your tribal land, and I'm pretty sure colonizers can colonize it too. However, if someone moves into your tribal land or next to it, you get a tribal border feud CB on them. The cost to make a province your tribal land becomes a lot more expensive once you're settled, or if you start as a settled tribe. It goes up by 200%. So claiming a province as tribal land will cost 300 admin points, which is quite a lot. The strategy as a migratory tribe is to claim as much tribal land as you can. Just keep migrating as your monarch points allow. You can declare war on others if they get close to your land and take things from them. The reason you should claim all the land you can is because once you reform out of your tribal government, all of your tribal land becomes settled. So basically you're paying 100 admin points to core a province you will settle into later. That coring cost is a lot, but while you are a native, you will have access admin points, as my suggestion is to just not take admin tech at all until you have reformed and caught up with the institutions. There's also this new concept of tribal development. For settled tribes, you can get some tribal migration from government reforms and buildings. It's basically a monthly modifier where it goes up every month by a little amount. And once you settle a province, which costs 50 Diplo points, it takes this collected tribal development and adds it to the province development you're settling into. Obviously, it rounds down that development. So if you're settling in a 111 dev province and you have a tribal development of say 1 point somethings, your new settled province will be a 222. I think you can store up to 10 dev in each tribal development category. This works a bit different if you're playing as a migratory tribe though. As a migratory tribe, you graze on the province you are on, so you're causing devastation in the province and converting that devastation into some tribal development. You get a pop-up once the devastation reaches 80% reminding you to migrate, as you don't get any tribal development modifier from a 100% devastation province. So you need to keep moving to keep that development ticking. As a migratory tribe, you cannot develop a province using monarch points. Instead, wherever you migrate to gets the tribal development added to it temporarily while you are in that province. Then that tribal development modifier will move to the next province you migrate to, and so on. It might sound a bit complicated, but once you play it, it's fairly simple, trust me. Now let's get to the last big change for NA natives. It's the new federation mechanics. Now you can form a federation with other nations around you and name it whatever you like. Or you can start as a nation in federation at the start of game, such as one of the Iroquois Confederacy tribes. As a federation, you get a federation cohesion number. It has positive and negative modifiers. It goes up if the federation members are of the same culture group. It goes down if someone is of different culture group. It also goes down if the federation leader isn't the strongest among the federation. Weirdly, the game calculates strengths based only on max manpower. So if you have more max manpower than other members, you can hold on to that federation leader status. If someone is a leader and they don't have the most strength, the cohesion will tick down, and if the cohesion number reaches 0, a new leader will be selected based on strength. The federation cohesion also goes up if one of the federation members are bordered by non-native nation. You can use this federation cohesion to get some federation advancements, basically like HRE reforms. You can only get these when the cohesion is 100, and taking an advancement will decrease the cohesion to 20. There are some okay modifiers in there. The best one to start is enable offensive war, and basically you become a revoked HRD right at the start. It's broken overpowered really. I am not going to go over the details here because I am playing this on the 1.31.0 patch and there are a fair amount of bugs with Federation right now. The modifiers listed here are not added properly. Your members will just randomly leave the federation and then instantly join back again and stuff like that. So we'll get into the details later when all this is fixed. Once you pass all the advancements, you can click this button and integrate all federation members. So again, like clicking the last HRE reform, obviously this is also super overpowered, and I think this will need some balancing because I think AI colonizers are not going to have a fun time trying to colonize. Right now there's also a bug where the game crashes if you click this button and there are more than 12 Federation members as far as I can tell with my testing runs. There's also the new totemist religion where your rulers only get positive traits, and once they die you can add them as ancestors to get global modifiers. At least that's the idea, because right now that modifier doesn't apply for some reason. So like I said, I'm playing this on 1.31.0, and let's hope we will see all these bugs patched up in 1.31.1. Well, hopefully by the time this video is released, we already have a bug fix patch. I will update this guy later once the bugs are fixed and the balance is fixed. I can say this though, despite the bugs and stuff, it's really fun to play as natives compared to previous patches. There has been a lot of improvement now, so kudos to the dev team there. Although looking at this particular capital city in the new world, the development seems a bit too much. Yeah, that's the thing for the next video. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that crazy thing. And let me know in comments what you think about the new native changes. Are you planning a run on it? Maybe a horde world conquest, anyone? We'll see how the natives shape up in future patches. Till then, thank you for your time. You're watching a Radiator's Guide, and I'll see you all in the next one.